Knowledge repository design. The design of a knowledge repository reflects the two basic components of knowledge as object, structure and content. Knowledge structures provide the context for interpreting accumulated content. If the repository conceived as a knowledge platform, then it decides different views about the content from a particular repository's structure. A high degree of flexibility enables user to alter and combine views dynamically and interactively and to apply knowledge easily to new content and circumstances. At this point, knowledge as object becomes knowledge as process. The basic structural element is the knowledge unit, a formally defined automatic packet of knowledge content labeled, indexed, stored, retrieved, and manipulated. The format, size, and connect of knowledge units may vary depending on the type of explicit knowledge being stored and the context of their use. The repository structure also includes the scheme for linking and cross-reference knowledge units. These links may represent conceptual association, ordered sequence, causally, or other relationship depending on the type of knowledge being stored. To reflect the full range of explicit organizational knowledge, repositories strive to record significant and meaningful concepts, categories and definitions, declarative knowledge, process, action, and sequence of event, procedural knowledge, reasonable for action or conclusions, casual knowledge, circumstance and intentions under which the knowledge was developed and is to be applied, specific contextual knowledge, and the linkage among them. The repository indexed according to those concept and categories, providing access paths that are meaningful to the organization. It accommodation changes or additions to that knowledge. For example, by linking automation as subsequent authors and creators adapt the knowledge for use in additional context. A knowledge platform actually consists of several repositories, each with a structure appropriate to a particular type of knowledge or content. It is possible to link these repositories logically to form a composite or virtual repository. This leads to a context for interpreting the connect of the others. For example, product literature, best sales practice and competitors. Intelligence for a particular market might be stored separately but viewed as though contained in one repository. Knowledge refinery. The refinery represents the process for creating and distributing the knowledge content in the repository. This process includes 5 stages. Acquisition, information, and knowledge is either created within the organization or acquired from many different internal and external sources. Refining captured knowledge before being added to the repository is subjected to value adding process. Refining such as cleaning, labeling, indexing, storing, abstracting, standardizing, integrating, and recategorizing. Storage and retrieval. This stage bridges upstream repositories creation to downstream knowledge distribution. Distribution. This stage represents the mechanism used to make repository content accessible. Presentation. The context of its use purposefully influence the value of knowledge. Capabilities provide for flexibly arranging, selecting, and integrating the knowledge content. Repository life cycle. Knowledge repositories have a life cycle to manage. Once created, they tend to grow, reaching a point where they begin to collapse, uniform their own weight, requiring major recognition. Their rejections require deleting absolute content, archiving less active but potentially useful content, and recognizing them. Content or topic areas may become fragment or redundant. Recognizing require eliminating those redundants, combining similar contribution, generalizing content for easily reapplication, and restructuring categories as needed. Successful knowledge management organization productively manage and recognizing their repositories as an ongoing activity rather than waiting for decline to set off before acting. Repository structure. For knowledge repositories to be meaningful, they must reflect the structure of shared mental models or contextual knowledge tacitly held by the organization. In most organizations, those structures are neither well defined nor widely shared, yet their explication is essential for efficiently managing explicitly encoded organizational knowledge. This requires defining knowledge unit and the method used for indexing and categorizing for easy access, retrieval, exchange, and integration, creating sentimenting consensus. Even within common practice communities is often a difficult task, let alone across an entire organization. Different lexicons naturally emerge from different parts of an organization. Standards are in many ways a counter to the culture of many organizations. However, the ability to integrate and share knowledge depends on some broadly meaningful scheme for its structure. Integration of knowledge across different contexts open an organization to new insights. A practice community exposure to how its knowledge application lies in other contexts. Increase the scope and value of that knowledge. Obtain the variety of experience with a local community of practice is not sufficient to understand some phenomenon thoroughly. By being able to combine experience across communities, the variation of experience which wisdom, and this enable to learn from those experiences. Knowledge Management Application Introduction. Knowledge management infrastructure facilitate knowledge processing. The knowledge management architecture broadly categorizes knowledge processing into classes: integrative and interactive. Such class has its own set of knowledge management objective. With this classification, knowledge management infrastructure facility knowledge processing. They support well-structured repositories for managing explicit knowledge and enables interaction to integrate their tacit knowledge. The integrative applications. Integrative application explicit a sequential flow of explicit knowledge into and out of the repository. Product and consumers interact with the repository rather than with each other directly. The repository becomes the primary medium for knowledge exchange, providing a place for members of the knowledge community to contribute their knowledge and views. The primary focus tends to be on the repository and the explicit knowledge or the tacit knowledge they hold. Interactive application vary in the extent to which knowledge providers and consumers come from the some knowledge community at one extreme, like electronic publishing, wherein the consumers reader neither directly engage in the same work nor belong to the same practice community as the product. Authors once published in content tend to be stable, with few updates expected to organizing content authors. The consumer accept the concept as it is without anticipate the feedback of modification from the user through previous made the its occurrence. For example, the organization may produce a period's newsletter, or the human resource department may publish its policies directly of employee skills and experience. On the other hand, the producers and consumers are members of the same practice communities or organizational unit. While still exhibiting sequential flow, the repository provides a means to integrate and build their collective knowledge. The knowledge developers refers this an integrated knowledge bases, a best practice database in the more common application. Such kinds of database collectively integrate and share the practice among people who confront similar problems. Regarding the organizational roles for managing integrative application, acquisition requires knowledge creators, finders, and collectors. Capturing verbal knowledge requires interviews and transcribers for documentary observed experience. The system requires organizational repositories surfacing and interpreting deeply held cultural and social knowledge. Require corporate anthropology refining, requires analysis, interprets, abstractors, classifies, editors, and integrators. A librarian or knowledge crack must manage the repository. Others must take responsibility for access, distribution, and presentation. Finally, organization may need people to train user to critically interpret, evaluate, and adapt knowledge to new context. Interactive applications. Interactive application focus primary on supporting interaction among people holding tacit knowledge. In contrast to interactive collaboration rather than the primary focus of the application, its content. In is dynamic and emergent interactive application vary by the level of expertise between producers and customers and the degree of structure imposed on their interaction, where formal training or knowledge transfer is the objective. The interaction tends to be primary between instructor and student, or expert and novice, and structured around a discrete problems, assignment or lesson plan, and the knowledge developers identify such application as distributor learning in contract interaction among those performing common practice or task tends to be more harder or emergent. They refer this application as formulas. They may take the form of knowledge brokerage and electronic discussions space where people may either search for knowledge. Does anyone know or advertise their expertise? The most interactive forms support ongoing collaborative discussions. The producers and consumers comprise the same group of people, continually responding to and building on each individual's addition to the discussion. The flow continually loop back from presentation to acquisition with the appropriate structuring and indexing of the content. A knowledge repository emerges, a standard categorization scheme provide the ability to reply that knowledge across the enterprise. Interactive applications play a major role in supporting integrative application. For example, a form linked to an electronic publishing application for editors helps to discuss the quality of the contributions or of offer a place for readers to react to and discuss the publication. Best practice database typically requires some degree of form interaction so that those attempting to adopt a practice have an opportunity to discuss its reapplication with its creators regarding the organizational roles for managing interactive application. Acquisition require requires and facilitator to encourage and manage participation in interactive forms so that those with the appropriate expertise can contribute. The refining structure and indexing of the content often is done by the communicators themselves using guidelines and categories built into the application supplemented by the conference moderator assuring the quality of the knowledge may require quality assurance personnel such as subject matter experts and reputation brokers managing a conference repository over its life cycle usually falls etc conference mediator others work with the user to help them becomes comfortable and skilled with assessing and using the application composite application knowledge management problems that are complex in nature typically require multiple repositories segmented by a degree of interactive of content or the structure of the knowledge itself. Each repository may have a different set of process and role by which its content is created, refined, and stored. Long cycle knowledge as more formal review and approved process, while the best practice receive a more expedited editing discussion database used for rapid exchange have no review process other than monitoring with the aid of a form mediator. Further, knowledge repository typically cases knowledge creation and separate time and space. Therefore, evaluating knowledge continually helps to ensure that it applies to present context and circumstance. Repositories and their underlying management process required segmentation based on well of their context and content. For example, the storage structure and process for management product knowledge is rapidly changing market may differ significantly from managing that knowledge is stable markets, segmenting that repositories and identifying and significant difference in their reference process is crucial for successful application as is their intelligent integrations provide seamless access to their knowledge collaborative platforms Collaborative platforms is a tool that support team members or that share information and contribute to knowledge management system. The collaborative platform along with the communication networks, service and hardware provides the pipeline to enable the flows of explicit knowledge, its content and the medium of conversation. Besides this, the collaborative platform provides a surround channel for defining, storing, moving, and linking digital objects such as conversation threads that correspond to knowledge units. The collaboration platform enables to content of the knowledge management system with a high degree of flexibility so that it random meaningful useful and applicable and possible context of use. More important, the collaborative platform empower the user. The user can either search for content, the full approach to content delivery, or the push approach, subscribe the content, have content pushed to him here. Collaborative platforms. Collaborative platform is a tool that support team members or local that share information and contribution to knowledge management system. The collaborative platform along with the communication. Different kinds of platforms. Collaborative filtering. Collaborative filtering or deduction gather knowledge of general user trait and models this into a profile. The comparison of a profile, the other profiles deduct similarities and opposites. It them makes prediction upon this comparison sharing of knowledge through pure recommendation is widely used mechanism in distributing information. The knowledge management system builds to collaborative filtering by deploying one of two possible mechanisms. Active filtering. User manually define filter and pointers to interesting content and share across their work group. Automated filtering. Statistical algorithm make recommendation based on correlation between the user personal preference and context rating. Collaborative filtering generate content rating is generated automatically such as those produced by measuring the average time all readers spend on reading the items or by manually assigning an average rating aggregate across multiple readers. Community centered collaborative filtering. Automated collaborative filtering is an approach which does not provide the expected benefits or gains to a sufficiently high level of community user unless it does not ignore the community for which it is. Separation of automated filtering from personal relationship limits its useful to a greater degree than one might expect. The network of existing social relationship between employees is an initiating feature for improving the collaborative filtering process. A through automatic of contributor is essential. Analysis reviews tend to carry less weight than do signed one. This is especially true in collective communities where people know colleges by name and the reputation, trust and especially come into the picture of collaborative process.